Good evening, class. Gina here. This week's topics are neurodevelopment and schizophrenia. For the first topic of discussion, we're discussing neurodevelopment as it focuses on autism, ADHD, and intellectual disabilities and learning disorders. The focus for the first part was where we did a couple of reviews of case studies, such as Louis Desiant, who was the 8-year-old Haitian that had dealt with many traumas, where he was in the earthquake and had the traumatic loss of his father and all of his family members, and had to be moved with his mother to the United States very abruptly after they had lived on the streets, lost everything he knew, and started at new schools without even being taught English. And the schools basically said, we don't know if he's being abused, we don't know if something's up. And the family had said that he was kind of a wild child and would kind of fidget and kind of be a little hard to deal with growing up. And the mother had looked into alternative help because they were very private from the Mambo or the female voodoo priest. So as the culture showed, they're very private. And it took a lot for the mother to even be able to come in for help and be willing to ask for help. And it showed that she was very private and didn't even give all of the information that she had because of her cultural values and her privacy. The language barriers also, as she had limited understanding of what the Children's Center was going to help with. The fear that her son was going to be stigmatized. And as we see a lot in our culture, even now, children in schools, they don't want that label of having the ADHD, having the learning disability, because parents can be afraid that, oh gosh, if they have this, they're not going to get a good job. Or if they have these 504 plans or these IEPs, is that really going to be provided? Or if they have these accommodations now, are they going to be able to get a good job in the future? In my area here in Bristol, there's very few support systems for not necessarily the ADHD, but the autism spectrum. I do have a nephew on the spectrum, and when he was growing up in the schools, he was more high functioning, but he didn't have the speech, occupational, all of those therapies to really help him succeed. And my sister chose to move to a larger city to where he would be able to get those resources that he needed, because the culture here is, well, they're not going to succeed anyway, so why do we need to provide it? So the community systems here in my area are very limited, and it's gotten worse, not only for mental health, early development health, but healthcare in general. And there's a lot of rural areas that access to healthcare in general, be it mental, early education, insurance, any kind of assistance, is not there. Insurance coverage is also a barrier because of lack of resources and a lot of poverty. So being able to understand the culture that you are working within and being able to have that understanding with your clients and see where they're coming from is that step in the door, so that you see they're another person, and then building that rapport to move forward. Once you can move forward, then you can help build on that access to care. That step in the door is the first line that we have when working with our patients. Unfortunately, in our world, even though we're in a developing country, we're considered a bigger city in Bristol. No, we have a lot fewer resources than you would think, and the access isn't as big as you think. Of course, to some of the more rural areas, we've got more resources, but less than bigger cities such as Charleston, South Carolina, New York, big cities. So, and that stigma being in the Bible Belt also has a lot to do with it, because, oh, Jesus will save you. It's one of those things, we'll pray it away. You don't want that stigma. So, even though I don't work with children any longer, working in the schools with these different diagnoses, definitely they were classified as the problem children. And being able to work with those teachers to help them understand that it wasn't necessarily that they were problem children, they just had a different way of learning, and sometimes that helped, and two, they didn't have the access to care that they needed, and three, it was a cultural difference a lot of times. I hope that I have brought some of my expertise and experience into this from this week, and I look forward to hearing everybody else's discussion from this week, and I look forward to hearing your responses.